Have you ever noticed that some people, despite being friendly and kind, seem to push others away without even realizing it? The problem often lies in oversharing. Sharing too much about your life, emotions, struggles, or opinions can unintentionally create distance between you and the people around you. Today, we are going to solve this problem, how to protect your relationships, maintain respect, and keep people close by understanding the art of discretion. Oversharing often feels like a natural way to connect with others. You think that by talking openly about your problems, your feelings, or your experiences, you are creating closeness. But the reality is quite different. Every time you reveal too much, you unintentionally build invisible walls. People begin to feel overwhelmed, unsure how to respond, or even uncomfortable. What you intended as intimacy can slowly turn into distance. Imagine meeting someone new and instantly sharing your deepest worries, every frustration, or every minor detail about your life. At first, they might listen politely, but over time, the constant flood of personal information can feel heavy. Relationships are not built on constant confession. They are built on balance, mutual respect, and understanding. When you overshare, you tip that balance. People may start avoiding conversations, not because they don't care, but because they feel burdened or unsure how to help. Another consequence of oversharing is vulnerability without safety. Not everyone who listens has good intentions. Some might judge, gossip, or use the information against you. Oversharing makes your private world public. And once the walls of discretion are gone, they are hard to rebuild. Silence, on the other hand, is protective. It allows you to share selectively, ensuring that your trust is placed in the right hands with people who genuinely value it. Oversharing also affects perception. People form opinions based on what they see and hear, not just what you intend. By constantly revealing your struggles, mistakes, or doubts, you may unintentionally define yourself by them rather than by your strengths, accomplishments, and character. The image you create in the minds of others matters because relationships thrive on respect and admiration. Oversharing erodes that respect because it replaces mystery, confidence, and calm with overexposure, doubt, and fatigue. Finally, the invisible walls built by oversharing are not always immediate. Sometimes, people withdraw slowly, unconsciously. They stop asking personal questions, respond less enthusiastically, or create space without explaining why. It is subtle, but it is real. By understanding the impact of oversharing, you begin to appreciate the power of discretion. Choosing what to reveal and what to hold back strengthens your relationships rather than weakening them. It protects your peace, your dignity, and your ability to connect meaningfully with the right people. When you constantly share every detail about your life, your struggles, or your thoughts, you unintentionally reduce your own value in the eyes of others. People naturally respect those who have boundaries, who know what to reveal and what to keep private. Oversharing, however, signals the opposite. It signals a lack of control, a need for validation, or an inability to manage your personal life. And when people sense this, they begin to pull back, not because they don't care, but because they are unsure how to relate to someone who gives too much away too quickly. Value is often tied to restraint. Imagine meeting someone who listens more than they speak, who chooses their words carefully, and who shares thoughtfully. Such a person automatically commands attention and respect. Contrast this with someone who constantly narrates their struggles, opinions, or emotions. The impact of their words diminishes over time. Oversharing dilutes the power of what you say because when everything is exposed, nothing feels special or important anymore. People stop paying attention, not out of malice, but because they are overwhelmed or desensitized. Oversharing also weakens your emotional presence. Every time you give away your worries, doubts, or fears, you leave yourself vulnerable to the judgments of others. Not everyone around you is empathetic. Some may exploit your openness or form negative impressions that stick longer than you realize. Your emotional life is a personal asset, and like any valuable asset, it must be guarded. By oversharing, you hand over control of your narrative to others, allowing them to define who you are, instead of letting your actions and character speak for themselves. There is also the social aspect. Relationships thrive on curiosity, intrigue, and the gradual unfolding of personality. Oversharing removes that natural rhythm. People enjoy learning about each other in layers. Too much exposure too soon can create discomfort, fatigue, or even avoidance. When every detail is revealed at once, there's little room left for discovery, admiration, or respect. By keeping certain aspects of your life private, you maintain a sense of depth, mystery, and dignity that draws people in rather than pushing them away. Finally, oversharing creates a false sense of connection. You may feel that opening up constantly builds intimacy, but true connection is built on mutual respect, understanding, and trust, not on an endless stream of personal revelation. By choosing to share selectively, you give weight to your words and preserve your value. People begin to see you as someone thoughtful, measured, and trustworthy, someone whose presence is meaningful and whose life is worth paying attention to. Learning this balance transforms your relationships, keeping others engaged and close while protecting your emotional integrity in life. People rarely remember every story you tell or every struggle you share. What they remember is how you acted, how you handled situations, and the result of your decisions. Oversharing gives the illusion of connection, but it is your actions that leave a lasting impression. When you focus on doing rather than narrating, you create a presence that commands respect, inspires trust, and keeps people drawn to you naturally. Actions speak louder than words because they are tangible proof of your character. You may tell someone you are hardworking, disciplined, or kind, but if your behavior does not reflect those qualities, your words lose all meaning. On the other hand, when you act consistently and purposefully, people notice. A single act of integrity, generosity, or competence carries far more weight than hours of explanation or confession. Oversharing can distract from these actions, drowning your achievements in unnecessary words that dilute their impact. Another reason people remember actions is the actions are authentic. Words can be rehearsed, exaggerated, or misunderstood, but actions are undeniable evidence of who you are. If you constantly overshare your intentions, your failures, or your plans, you risk creating an image that is fragmented or misinterpreted. But when you allow your actions to define you, there is no confusion. People see your values, priorities, and abilities clearly, and they respond to what is real rather than what is told. Oversharing also shifts attention from impact to narrative. When you tell everyone about your challenges, achievements, or personal life, the focus is on the story rather than the results. This can lead to misjudgments, envy, or superficial admiration. But when you act quietly and let outcomes speak for themselves, people respect you for what you accomplish, not for what you claim to have endured or achieved. Actions create credibility. Words alone cannot. Furthermore, emphasizing action over oversharing preserves your emotional strength. Every detail you share exposes a part of yourself to evaluation, criticism, or comparison. By keeping your personal life measured, selective, and letting your actions illustrate your intentions, you maintain control over how you are perceived. You become someone whose presence is felt rather than endlessly explained, someone who inspires trust and admiration without the need for constant validation. Finally, people remember the consistency of your actions more than the stories you tell. Small, steady efforts over time create a reputation that is far stronger and more durable than any amount of verbal sharing. By choosing to act deliberately and speak minimally, you allow your life to become a reflection of your character. Oversharing may push people away, but intentional actions naturally draw them closer, forming genuine relationships built on respect, trust, and authenticity. One of the most overlooked consequences of oversharing is the toll it takes on your emotional energy. Every time you reveal personal details, vent frustrations, or discuss private struggles, you expend energy that could be better used on growth, focus, and positive action. People may listen politely, but emotional energy is a limited resource, and sharing it carelessly often leaves you drained, vulnerable, and less able to navigate life effectively. Protecting your emotional energy begins with awareness. Recognize that not every person needs to know your inner thoughts, And not every situation requires full disclosure. When you guard your emotions, you maintain control over your reactions and prevent others from influencing your mood or decisions unnecessarily. Oversharing hands over a piece of that control, allowing people intentionally or unintentionally to shape your feelings, opinions, and even self-worth. By being selective, you preserve your inner strength and remain grounded no matter the circumstances. Oversharing can also attract negative energy. Some people thrive on drama or weakness and may exploit the personal information you share. Others may judge, criticize, or distance themselves based on what they learn. By revealing too much, you open doors to emotional disturbance that could have been avoided. Protecting your energy doesn't mean shutting people out. It means being intentional, choosing carefully who deserves your trust, and ensuring that your inner world remains shielded from unnecessary harm. When you protect your emotional energy, you also enhance the quality of your relationships. Sharing selectively makes your interactions meaningful. People feel valued when they are entrusted with your confidence, and this strengthens bonds. Oversharing, on the other hand, can overwhelm others, create discomfort, or even foster resentment. Respecting your own emotional boundaries communicates self-respect and teaches others to honor you, creating healthier, more balanced connections. Another advantage of guarding your emotional energy is the ability to focus on personal growth. Life demands resilience, patience, and clarity, and oversharing often distracts from these priorities. By conserving your emotional resources, you can invest them in learning, creating, and achieving your goals. Instead of seeking external validation or relief through conversation, you cultivate inner stability and confidence that is self-sustaining and independent of others' reaction. Finally, protecting your emotional energy allows you to act with purpose rather than reaction. When you overshare, your decisions may be influenced by others' opinions or judgments, leaving you reactive instead of proactive. By keeping your personal struggles and emotions measured, you maintain the power to respond thoughtfully, make strategic choices, and live life on your own terms. Emotional energy is not endless, and those who safeguard it wisely create a life defined by intention, strength, and meaningful connections rather than one dictated by the noise of oversharing. As we conclude, take a moment to think about how much of yourself you truly reveal to others. Oversharing may feel like connection, but often it builds distance, weakens respect, and drains your emotional energy. True strength lies in knowing what to share and what to keep private. When you act with discretion, speak with purpose, and let your action define you, people naturally gravitate toward your presence. Guard your personal life, protect your energy, and focus on creating impact rather than narrating every detail. Remember, meaningful relationships are nurtured through trust, respect, and thoughtful boundaries, not through constant exposure. The fewer unnecessary words you give away, the more your life speaks, your presence commands, and your peace remains unshaken.